Alright, so this is the Logger Pro tutorial. We're going to go over the basics and just how to set up your equipment and plug everything in to recording a graph, getting data, and interpreting your results. The first thing you want to look at is your Vernier Lab Pro interface console. Most importantly, there are two ports here to plug in devices, and there's a USB right here to plug into a computer so you can get to the program. So what you're going to first need to do is plug this into a power source. And you'll know that there's power going in the console when you hear a beep, which should come eventually. And it'll light up. There you go. It's plugged into the wall, and we have power. The next thing you want to do is plug in the USB cable into the side of the console. It goes in like so. Next, you're going to want to hook up the USB to a computer so you can actually use Logger Pro. Alright, so the next thing you got to do is plug in your data collecting device. For this, we're going to use just a standard motion detector. You plug it into the Dig Sonic ports, and we're just going to plug it into the first port. So now everything's connected and we're ready to go. This will graph position versus time, velocity versus time. And so we're going to get someone to walk back and forth with a motion detector recording their motion, and then we're going to see the results as they appear on the computer. Now it's recording his motion.
Alright, so now we're going to begin the computer portion of the Logger Pro tutorial. So once we've set up all of our equipment, we're going to start getting data. And so how you do that is you go into Logger Pro and you click the collect button. That's what I'm circling with my mouse here. You click it, and the motion detector starts, and as my partner backs away, you can see his position value away from the motion detector increases because, again, he's backing away from it. One of the more important things about Logger Pro is you can select an interval. So let's select between 1 and 2, roughly. And there's a bunch of buttons up here at the top that'll give you information about that interval that you selected. For instance, the statistics button. It'll give you the mean or the minimum value, and at the point where it reaches its minimum value, the maximum value and its point, and the mean value, the average value, and where that happens, and the median. Another really important line is the linear fit button. This plots a line through the points plotted by the motion detector in Logger Pro and gives you information about that line. It'll give you the slope, the y-intercept, and a bunch of other stuff. This is really important when it comes to mechanics and a lot of like graphing derivatives and just interpreting your data and just analyzing what it means. Alright, so let's go into a more in-depth example of what I mean by analyzing your data and how to do it. So we have here a graph of, I use this for an actual lab, of a cart rolling down a slope. And this is what happened. The cart rolled down, the position, it rolled away, it increased faster and further because it was rolling down an incline. So what we had to do is we wanted to graph the acceleration of the cart. And we all know that the derivative, or most of us know that the derivative of velocity equals acceleration. Or if you didn't know, if you graph a linear fit through velocity, it'll create a line based on the velocity, and then that's your acceleration. That's the constant acceleration, or what should be constant. So what we'd do is we'd select an interval here of the velocity when it seems like it's increasing consistently. So we could go almost from all the way here to all the way here, because this is a pretty nice looking graph. We'd take this interval, and we'd click the linear fit button, which I believe is this one. Yes. And we'd graph this line, and I don't want it there. I want it down here. We graph this line. So this line here, it's telling us that it has a slope of 0.3858 meters per second, which is meters per second squared, which does happen to be acceleration. And that's basically it. You can play around with a lot of other buttons, like if we want to graph the line that just touches the graph at a certain point, we can graph a tangent line, like right here. And it'll tell us the slope. We can move it across, and it'll tell us at this range of points because the motion detector only collects a certain amount of data points per given time. So we move this along the line, and it'll give us values for the slope of the line that touches the graph. We can calculate an integral. So if we highlight a certain interval, of position, of velocity, I mean, we can tell it to calculate the integral, and this gives us the area, or basically how much the integral velocity is position. So it'll give us how much distance it's traveled in total, or basically the definition of an integral is the area underneath the curve. So that's what Logger Pro pretty much does. I mean, it's a good piece of equipment, and it's great for all your labs. Here you can find like tables of values, and this is what Logger Pro uses to graph your graphs, and this is all the points that you have information for.